Retirement in New York State does not have to mean squeezing into a shoebox apartment in Manhattan and wondering why your grocery bill looks like it belongs to a family of 6. Too many people think New York equals New York City, but the rest of the state is full of overlooked gems. There are mid-sized cities with strong communities, affordable homes, and plenty of culture that never make the glossy retirement lists. In this video, we are exploring 10 hidden New York State retirement havens you have probably never heard of. By the end, you will know which cities let you swap chaos for calmer streets, overpriced bagels for local farmers markets, and honking taxis for sunsets you can actually enjoy. 1. Syracuse. Syracuse is one of those places people forget exists until basketball season rolls around. But for retirees, this city can be a quiet jackpot. It is mid-sized, easy to navigate, and you are not elbowing your way through crowds just to buy bananas. Life moves slower here, and yes, people actually wave at you on the sidewalk instead of staring at their phones pretending you are invisible. The community is surprisingly lively thanks to Syracuse University. On one hand, you get college energy, sports, concerts, endless coffee shops, and on the other hand, you get enough retirees to form a line at every early bird special in town. Festivals fill the calendar too, from jazz weekends to the New York State Fair, which is basically an excuse to eat fried food science never intended. Fried Oreos? Sure. Fried butter? Why not? Retirement is short. Live a little. On the wallet side, Syracuse is kind. You can still find a decent home under $350,000, which in New York feels like discovering buried treasure. Groceries and restaurants are reasonably priced, and healthcare is solid with Upstate University Hospital right in town. Translation: you can stop panicking every time you sneeze. Nature sneaks in too. Onondaga Lake and nearby parks are perfect for long walks, fishing, or just sitting on a bench pretending you are in a nature documentary. Summers are green and mild. Winters, however, are, let's say, enthusiastic. Syracuse averages more snow than almost any other U.S. city, so owning a snowblower is not optional. It is a survival tool. At least you can finally justify buying that giant cocoa mug shaped like a snowman. The unique twist? Sports fever. Syracuse bleeds orange, and it is impossible not to get swept up in the madness. One day you are just a retiree out for milk, the next you are screaming at a college basketball ref on TV like your retirement depends on it. The only downside? Shoveling snow counts as cardio, but at least you will have great biceps in your golden years. 2. Albany. Albany is New York's capital, but you would never know it if your only idea of a capital city is Washington, D.C., or even Albany's louder cousin downstate, New York City. Here the vibe is smaller, calmer, and yes, people actually leave work at 5 instead of pretending to. For retirees, that means a city big enough to have everything you need, but small enough that your neighbor will notice if you suddenly start collecting flamingos in your yard. The community has a mix of professionals, families, and plenty of retirees who figured out long ago that living near the Hudson River beats paying sky-high Manhattan rent. Downtown has been spruced up with restaurants, coffee shops, and galleries, but it still has a laid-back charm. And because it is the capital, you get a steady stream of festivals and cultural events, plus the occasional protest march, which doubles as free entertainment if you are people-watching. Albany is also far kinder to your retirement budget. Homes regularly come in under $350,000, and utilities, groceries, and dining are reasonable compared to New York City. Healthcare is excellent, with Albany Medical Center providing for the region and plenty of specialists nearby. You will not feel like you are in the middle of nowhere when it comes to medical care. Nature is right outside the city. The Hudson River is a constant backdrop, and you are within a short drive of the Catskills and Adirondacks for hiking, camping, or just pretending you are more outdoorsy than you really are. Summers are warm, winters snowy, but unlike Syracuse, you will not need a snowplow budget just to leave your driveway. The quirky twist? Albany has a thing for tulips. Every spring, the city hosts a tulip festival, which sounds polite and European until you see half the town decked out in Dutch costumes, wooden clogs included. The only downside? The nightlife is limited, So if your dream retirement involves dancing until 2 a.m., you might have to settle for a jazz club that closes at 10. But honestly, you will probably be in bed by then anyway. 3. Rochester. Rochester used to be Kodak's kingdom, but today it is carving out a new reputation as one of the most underrated retirement spots in New York State. It is large enough to keep life interesting, but small enough that you will never spend half your afternoon circling for parking. In fact, traffic here is so light that locals complain about rush hour, which usually means 10 extra minutes behind a school bus. Community life is lively and welcoming. Downtown has theaters, museums, and festivals, while the neighborhoods have tree-lined streets and neighbors who will lend you a snow shovel before casually reminding you they want it back before the next storm. Thanks to the University of Rochester, you also get a steady stream of concerts, lectures, and enough coffee shops to fuel an entire generation. Retirees slip into the mix easily, adding their own flavor to the city's energy. Money-wise, Rochester is a relief compared to New York City. Homes under $350,000 are common, groceries are affordable, and dining is a treat. Local diners serve pie so big you could use it as a small coffee table, while trendy wine bars keep things balanced. Healthcare is excellent, anchored by the University of Rochester Medical Center, so you are in safe hands if you attempt the local delicacy, the garbage plate, more often than recommended. Ah yes, the garbage plate. A glorious, chaotic pile of macaroni salad, home fries, meat, and hot sauce all crammed onto one dish. It looks like a dare, but tastes like victory. Retire here and you will eventually find yourself recommending it to wide-eyed visitors as if it were health food. Nature is another perk. Lake Ontario is right at your doorstep, offering breezy walks, fishing, and sunsets that practically beg to be photographed. The Finger Lakes wine region is just a short drive away, making midweek wine tastings a totally normal retirement activity. The only downside? Snow. Rochester takes winter seriously, and by March you will be begging the weather gods for mercy. Just like in Syracuse, your abs will never look better. 4. Yonkers. Yonkers is New York City's northern neighbor, but living here feels like stepping off the roller coaster without leaving the amusement park. You are close enough to hop on a train and be in Manhattan in under half an hour, yet far enough that your neighbor's idea of noise is mowing the lawn at 8 in the morning, not a car horn at midnight. For retirees, it is the sweet spot between city energy and suburban calm. The community vibe is lively without being overwhelming. Downtown Yonkers has been revitalized with restaurants, coffee shops, and art spaces that give you a taste of the city without the city's price tag. The Hudson River waterfront is perfect for long walks that double as free therapy, and local events, from jazz nights to street fairs, keep the calendar busy. Neighbors are friendly in that New York way, helpful and chatty, but always ready to argue about pizza like it is a sacred duty. Costs are more forgiving than Manhattan's sell a kidney for a studio prices, though this is still Westchester County, so bargains are rare. With some patience, condos and smaller homes under $400,000 are possible. Groceries and restaurants are manageable, and healthcare is excellent, covered by Westchester Medical Center and several clinics. Translation: you can retire here without clutching your wallet every time you cough. Nature is Yonkers' underrated perk. Untermere Gardens feels like a Persian palace dropped in Westchester, with fountains and flower beds that make retirement walks feel like movie scenes. Hudson River sunsets are equally dramatic, perfect for phone photos, even if you still have not mastered the selfie button. Winters bring sharp winds, but at least scarves count as fashion. The quirky twist? Yonkers has Empire City Casino and a harness racing track. One minute you are sipping tea, the next you are cheering for a horse named Grandma's Revenge like your Social Security check depends on it. The downside? Property taxes sting, and the river breeze will test your hat collection. But with gardens, river views, and Manhattan just minutes away, Yonkers offers a retirement that is both exciting and comfortable. 5. Buffalo. Buffalo has two reputations: snow measured in feet instead of inches, and chicken wings that conquered the world. But for retirees, this city is more than blizzards and spicy sauce. It is big enough to keep life interesting, small enough that traffic, means waiting behind someone who forgot how to use their blinker, and affordable enough that your savings account might finally breathe a sigh of relief. Community here is famously warm. Buffalonians are proud of their city, and you will notice it the moment you bring up the bills. Strangers will high-five you in the produce aisle like you are part of the team. Block parties, waterfront concerts, and farmers markets make it easy to meet people. Neighbors will offer you a snow shovel in winter and wings in summer, which is pretty much the full Buffalo starter pack. Money-wise, Buffalo is one of New York's best-kept secrets. Homes under $300,000 are common, which feels almost illegal compared to downstate. Groceries and restaurants are budget-friendly, and healthcare is solid thanks to Kaleida Health and Erie County Medical Center. This means you can save your dollars for fun instead of handing them all to your pharmacist. Nature is another bonus. Lake Erie and the Niagara River offer breezy views, boating, and fishing, while Niagara Falls is basically your oversized backyard fountain. Summers mean waterfront festivals, food trucks, and sunsets that beg for Instagram captions. Winters, however, are legendary. Snowstorms arrive like uninvited relatives and stay far too long. You will own more shovels than shoes, and your snowblower might become your closest companion. The quirky twist? Buffalo's food scene goes way beyond wings. Beef on weck, sponge candy, pizza logs. It is like a snack buffet designed for retirees with adventurous stomachs. The downside? Winter tests your patience and your hat collection. But once summer returns, the friendly neighbors, festivals, and affordable living make you forget you ever cursed the snow. 6. White Plains. White Plains is often called the gateway to Westchester County, but for retirees it is more like the waiting room between New York City chaos and suburban calm. And the magazines here are much better. You are close enough to hop into Manhattan for a Broadway matinee, but far enough that the loudest thing you hear at night is your neighbor's recycling bin rolling down the driveway. The community vibe is lively. Downtown has restaurants, shops, and cafes that somehow stay full no matter what time it is. Retirees love the variety. One minute you are in a diner where the pancakes are the size of steering wheels. The next you are in a sushi spot where the rolls are so tiny you need a magnifying glass. Cultural life is busy too, with theaters, music venues, and festivals, which means your social calendar might look busier now than when you were working. Money-wise, White Plains is pricier than some retirement spots, but compared to Manhattan, it feels like happy hour prices all day. Condos and smaller homes under $400,000 exist if you are patient. Groceries and dining are reasonable, though the fancy steakhouse may still make you consider selling your golf clubs. Healthcare is covered by White Plains Hospital, so your bowling injuries will not require a helicopter ride. Nature sneaks in more than you expect. Parks dot the city, and the Hudson River or Long Island Sound are just minutes away. Summers bring concerts and fairs, autumn turns every street into a postcard, and winters are snowy but manageable. The city clears snow so fast you barely have time to name your shovel before the plows ruin the ceremony. The quirky twist? White Plains has a surprisingly lively nightlife. Retirees who swore they were done with going out sometimes end up at karaoke bars, belting out Sinatra with 20-somethings. The downside? Property taxes bite. But with bagel debates, karaoke nights, and a front-row seat to New York City without living in it, White Plains proves retirement does not have to be boring. 7. Utica. Utica is the kind of city people forget about, which makes it perfect for retirees who secretly like being the clever ones in the room. While everyone else fights for condos in pricier towns, you will be stretching out in an affordable home here, sipping coffee and wondering why the secret has not gotten out. The community vibe is welcoming and a little eclectic. Utica has had waves of immigrants over the years, and that means food. You can eat Italian rigatoni on Monday, Bosnian cevapi on Tuesday, and Polish pierogi on Wednesday, and nobody blinks. Retirees love that mix because it means your weekly dinner schedule doubles as world travel, without airport security or lost luggage. Neighbors will learn your name and probably your dog's name before you have even unpacked. Money is on your side. Homes under $250,000 are normal, which in New York feels like you just won a game show. Groceries and restaurants are budget-friendly, and the healthcare is anchored by Mohawk Valley Health System. This way you can spend money on hobbies instead of panicking every time your back hurts. Nature is right next door. The Adirondacks are basically your oversized backyard with lakes, trails, and mountains waiting for you to show off your new retirement hiking boots. Whether you actually hike or just post pictures in them is up to you. Summers are warm and filled with festivals. Winters? Utica takes them seriously. Clearing snow will count as your new part-time job. Hey, at least you can cancel the gym membership. The quirky twist? Utica is obsessed with chicken riggies, a spicy pasta dish so iconic it has its own festival. Retire here long enough and you will be defending riggies in heated debates like they are part of your family tree. The downside? Winter can feel endless, and by March you may be pricing flights to Florida. But then spring hits, and Utica reminds you why being overlooked is sometimes the biggest win. 8. Binghamton. Binghamton may not be the first name that comes to mind for retirement, but that is exactly why it works. This southern tier city is big enough to keep you entertained, small enough that running errands does not require a survival kit. Traffic jams? More like waiting at one stubborn red light or stopping for a family of ducks that clearly runs the place. The community vibe is friendly with just enough quirk. Thanks to Binghamton University, there is always a pulse of concerts, lectures, and coffee shops filled with students explaining TikTok dances you will forget before your latte cools. Retirees slide in easily, joining markets, book clubs, and backyard barbecues where the potato salad always runs out first. Trivia nights at local pubs are another favorite. Half the fun is arguing whether Pluto should still count as a planet. It's okay, Pluto, I'm not a planet either. And yes, there are bingo nights too, but don't be surprised if they get competitive fast. Money stretches further here than in most of New York. Homes under $250,000 are common, groceries are reasonable, and dining does not leave you clutching your wallet. Healthcare is good as well, covered by United Health Services. So there is still budget for hobbies instead of putting all your savings toward prescriptions. Nature is everywhere. 2 rivers run through the city, parks and trails make daily walks easy, and the Catskills are close enough for weekend adventures. Summer festivals pack the schedule with live music, funnel cake, and the occasional retiree who decides line dancing is their new calling. Winters bring snow, but the city takes it in stride. And yes, just like in about every other town in New York State, snow. Lots of it. The quirky twist? Binghamton is the carousel capital of the world, home to half a dozen historic carousels you can still ride for free. Tell your grandkids, yes, Grandma rides carousels now, and she is training for the championship. The downside? Gray winters overstay their welcome, but when spring arrives, Binghamton's affordability and charm more than make up for it. 9. Troy. Troy sits across the river from Albany, and while it is part of the capital region, it has a personality all its own. Once famous for ironworks, today it is better known for quirky shops and a downtown that looks like the 1800s got a facelift and a latte machine. For retirees, it blends historic charm with modern convenience and just enough eccentricity to keep things fun. The community vibe is creative and welcoming. The Troy Waterfront Farmers Market is legendary, with stalls selling everything from jams to cheeses that cost more than your first car. Retirees wander the booths, chat with vendors, and politely pretend to know why a sourdough starter is life-changing. Add in art walks, theater shows, and jazz nights, and you will never lack for excuses to leave the couch. Money is friendlier here than in many New York cities. Homes under $350,000 are still on the market, especially if you like older houses with character, which is realtor code for floors that creak like stage actors. Everyday costs are manageable, and healthcare is reliable with Albany Medical Center close by. Nature is just across the bridges. The Hudson River runs through town, and nearby state parks make weekend walks easy. Summers bring street festivals and free concerts. Autumn turns Troy into a postcard of red and gold. And winters demand both sidewalk salt and hot chocolate, not necessarily combined. Troy proudly claims to be the birthplace of Uncle Sam. Yes, the poster guy. Retire here and you may end up taking selfies with Uncle Sam's statues while explaining to grandkids that no, you did not actually know him. The downside? Cobblestone streets look charming until you try crossing them in clunky snow boots. Still, with history, affordability, and endless markets, Troy makes retirement surprisingly fun. 10. New Rochelle. New Rochelle sits just north of the Bronx, close enough that you can hop into Manhattan for a Broadway show, but far enough that your bedtime soundtrack is crickets instead of car horns. Retiring here means you keep the city perks while dodging the chaos, like sneaking dessert without anyone noticing. The community vibe is lively and diverse. Downtown has theaters, cafes, and enough restaurants to keep you debating where to eat until you finally give up and order pizza again. On the waterfront, retirees join walking groups, yoga classes, and summer concerts where half the fun is watching people try to dance on grass without spilling their lemonade. Neighbors are chatty, welcoming, and more likely to argue about the best bagel than about politics, which is a retirement upgrade in itself. Money-wise, New Rochelle is not dirt cheap, but compared to Manhattan, it feels like a clearance rack miracle. With patience, condos and smaller homes under $400,000 are out there, and groceries and dining are reasonable enough that you will not need to pawn grandma's jewelry just to enjoy brunch. Healthcare is reliable, guaranteed by Montefiore New Rochelle Hospital, so you can focus on recovering from yoga glory instead of worrying about coverage. Nature is part of the daily routine. Long Island Sound offers beaches, boating, and parks where you can picnic or simply sit and watch sailboats glide by while pretending you own one. Summers bring outdoor festivals, autumn turns the city into a leaf-peeping paradise, and winters are cold but manageable, as long as you accept hot chocolate as a legitimate food group. The quirky twist? New Rochelle has a pop culture claim to fame as the fictional home of the Dick Van Dyke Show. Retire here and you might find yourself reenacting sitcom scenes in the cereal aisle. The downside: property taxes pinch and parking can feel like a competitive sport. But with bagel debates, waterfront sunsets, and Manhattan minutes away, New Rochelle turns retirement into a sitcom you actually want to star in. And that's a wrap. Sorry, that's actually the wrong wrap. 10 retirement havens in New York State that prove you do not have to sell everything and move to Florida for peace and sunshine. From lakeside sunsets to bagel debates that feel more intense than politics, these cities show retirement can actually be fun, affordable, and just a little quirky. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these places surprised you the most, and which one could you actually see yourself retiring in? Drop your answer in the comments. I promise I read them, even the ones where you tell me I pronounce the name of your favorite town wrong. Before you start scrolling Zillow, do me one favor and click the subscribe button. That way you will not miss any new future hidden retirement gems. Until then, keep dreaming about your perfect retirement spot, and maybe keep a shovel handy, just in case you pick Buffalo.